Good, happy Sunday evening, November 7, 2021. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Sunday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, fire captain hospitalized after deadly Manchester fire identified is expected to fully recover. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
That subdivision won't build itself. You need equipment that's built smart so you can work smarter. That's built to deliver.
This is what's left of a 6-unit apartment building on Dutton Street in Manchester. Saturday night, a fire ripped through the 3-story building, killing one and sending 2 others to the hospital, including Manchester Fire Captain Steve DeRusso.
He suffered second and third degree burns. He's at Mass General, resting comfortably. He's there surrounded by his wife and children, members of the Manchester Fire Department.
Battalion Chief Fleury says DeRusso will require some surgeries, but is expected to make a full recovery. He says DeRusso is in good spirits and remembers everything that happened.
He was able to rescue one person via a ladder, and that's when the back porches suffered a flashover. He was caught and engulfed in flames. He himself did a ladder bail. He got hung up on the top of the ladder by one of his SCBA straps.
According to Fleury, Lieutenant Scott Broussard then tried to free DeRusso from the ladder. When his efforts failed, a third firefighter kicked the ladder out from the bottom, sending them both to a fall of about 10 to 15 feet.
His actions were heroic, to say the least. What he did that night under the conditions he had and the conditions he faced were nothing short of heroic, and it's a true testament to who Steve really is.
In all, Manchester Fire pulled 6 people to safety.
We know we got 6 out, but we also know there were 7. And, that's heavy on our hearts.
Now, the cause of that fire is still under investigation. The State Fire Marshal's office says the identity of the deceased will not be released until after the autopsy, which is scheduled for Monday. Live in Manchester tonight, Jason King, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Nashua man awaiting arraignment on charges connected to grandmother's death. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
That subdivision won't build itself. You need equipment that's built smart so you can work smarter.
A 27-year-old Nashua man is in custody awaiting arraignment after officials say he murdered his grandmother in their home on Thursday night.
The Nashua Police Crime Scene Investigation Unit sits outside 22 Auburn Street, the home of 27-year-old Jacob Abraham and his 71-year-old grandmother, Cynthia Tupin. And it's here where the New Hampshire Attorney General's office says Abraham killed his grandmother late Thursday night.
Almost midnight, there was a call for service at 22 Auburn Street in Nashua, and it was determined when they responded that there was a woman who was in her apartment and deceased.
The AG's office says Abraham recklessly caused the death of Tupin by causing blunt force trauma to her head and or a puncture wound to her neck. An exact cause of death will be determined through an autopsy. Abraham is currently being held on a fugitive from justice charge in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Monday morning, he'll be arraigned in Lowell District Court and on the fugitive from justice charge, and he has a choice of whether to waive the formal extradition process or not.
If Abraham waives extradition, he will be brought back to New Hampshire for an arraignment on a second-degree murder charge for Tupin's death. As the investigation continues, the AG's office is asking anyone with information on this case to come forward.
If anyone heard anything on November 4th, on Thursday, during the day or into the early evening, that they think is important or could be relevant, please call the Nashua Police Department.
An autopsy for Cynthia Tupin is scheduled for tomorrow morning.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Police searching for burglars who stole 3 vehicles from a Manchester dealership lot. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Walmart, America's largest, is hiring. Earn up to $28 per hour plus benefits working at Walmart's distribution center. Get a $5,000 sign-on bonus, but hurry, you must be hired before November 18th. Apply online today or text DC to 240-240. Walk-ins welcome.
All right, now, Manchester police are searching for burglars who stole 3 of a dealership's most expensive vehicles early yesterday. This surveillance video shows 4 people in black hoodies running through the parking lot of Bonneville & Son. The dealership says someone threw a brick through their window while the business was closed, then grabbed keys for the vehicles and took off. Salespeople at the dealership say losing those vehicles totaling more than $200,000 hits even harder at a time when inventory is low.
It felt violated, a dealership that I've worked, so long and so hard with to have this happen, It's the north end of Manchester. The people are nice. Everybody's very nice up here. It just doesn't happen.
Police also found a 2020 Toyota RAV4 that had been stolen out of Waltham, Mass. at the scene. If you have any information, call Manchester Police.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Authorities investigating causes behind deadly crowd surge at music festival in Houston. Let's take a look at that video right now.
Walmart, America's largest, is hiring. Earn up to $28 per hour plus benefits working at Walmart's distribution center. Get a $5,000 sign-on bonus, but hurry, you must be hired before November 18th. Apply online today or text DC to 240-240. Walk-ins welcome.
The crowd began to compress towards the front of the stage, okay? And that caused some panic, and it started causing some injuries. People began to fall out, become unconscious, and it created additional panic.
Following a crowd surge at a Houston concert that left at least 8 people dead and dozens injured, authorities will examine key causes behind the surge and what could have been done to get attendees out of harm's way, police said Saturday. Somersworth police plan to clear homeless encampment. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Walmart, America's largest, is hiring. Earn up to $28 per hour plus benefits working at Walmart's distribution center. Get a $5,000 sign-on bonus, but hurry, you must be hired before November 18th. Apply online today or text DC to 240-240. Walk-ins welcome.
Well, we're told roughly 40 to 60 people live in that encampment currently, but since it falls on private property, come Monday, they'll be forced to leave.
The camp sits on a private lot near Willand Pond on the Dover-Somersworth city line. Somersworth police say its population has increased significantly since the start of the pandemic, and so too have calls for things like domestic violence, overdoses, assaults, theft, and fires.
Homelessness is oftentimes the direct result of substance use disorder and mental health. And there's a lacking for services for that.
On Monday, when the camp is cleared, residents will be taken by bus to a nearby warming center where they can stay temporarily. Social services will be there to help find more permanent housing solutions. But the mayors of both Dover and Somersworth admit there isn't an adequate shelter in the area.
I wish I could sit up here today and tell you I had the secret sauce for homelessness and substance use disorder and mental health. I know it's all part of the problem, and it takes everyone to fix it.
Police say after the camp is cleared, people who return could face trespassing fines, but they say their goal is to clear the property and find resources for those struggling.
It's an unfortunate situation, and I think we really feel for the people that are out there and have no choice.
And we're told the people who live in that encampment have been told several times over the course of the last month that they will indeed have to move. And some of them, we're told, have already taken advantage of some of those social services that are being offered.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. Rural broadband access to increase under infrastructure bill. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
So, you need a new roof, but you have so many questions. Should I get a metal roof or asphalt shingles? Are the materials...
The House passing the much-anticipated infrastructure bill late Friday night by a vote of 228 to 206, sending the legislation to President Biden's desk. Representative Andy Custer says the bipartisan legislation is historic and a real win for New Hampshire and will rebuild the country's infrastructure with new funding for roads and bridges, airports, and rural broadband.
But this money from the federal government will be an incentive to make sure that broadband communication is accessible to every single household here in the Granite State.
Parts of New Hampshire have long struggled with lack of high-speed internet service. In the town of Bristol, work is already underway to connect residents. Town manager Nick Coates says the legislation couldn't have come at a better time.
So our goal is to have that high-speed broadband in every single residence and business in Bristol, and then across the county, the residents is about 50 to 55,000. We're expecting to be able to build this system so that every single resident can access it.
Dr. Julie Dolan is doing similar work in Sandwich, helping create a broadband advisory committee. Right now, less than 10% of residents in her area have reliable internet service. She's excited to see the historic growth.
Broadband is hopefully going to be brought to so many rural citizens by electric cooperatives.
And it's an idea Representative Custer says was in her mind as she worked on this massive plan.
It reminds me of the rural electrification program way back in our grandparents' day when electricity spread all across the country to every single household.
Representative Chris Pappas going even further, calling this development a 21st century priority.
When you think about the way that we use the internet for healthcare and education and government services, it's a necessity.
I'm Nicole Lally, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that is it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Good night and goodbye, everyone.